back to lesson 2 of our NSSC AS Art and Design lessons. I am Nina van Deventer and I am here from the National Institute of Educational Development, or NED for short. Yes, a special welcome to all our NSSC AS level learners as well as those on O level interested in printmaking. Anybody watching the show who is a lover of art will agree that printmaking is a lot of fun. And you can do it on so many surfaces, such as paper, you can use material, and you can even use something natural, such as leather, parchment, or silk, for those who want to do the silk industry. Printing mainly requires paint, like acrylic paint, oil paint, or printing ink. For printing images, you can use stencils. Oh my goodness, the list is endless. You can use feathers. You can use rope, for instance, all to make interesting surfaces. You can use leaves, like these lovely leaves. Here are some other small textured leaves, which you can use to make a different texture on your paper. You can use even eggshells. As you can see, some eggs, if you have some boiled eggs, you can just break the shells and you can use the shells. And you can also use plastic, you can use bubble wrap. Let your imagination go wild. You can also use metals where you cut, but that is very difficult. But you can do it, you can cut a pattern in it and you can use the pattern to make a print. And then most important will be your rollers. So you'll see this is one roller that has been used, and you will also need a clean roller. I'll just quickly give a small demonstration of what you can do. So you can lay out, I'm using the leaves and the eggshells here, on a paper. Then you will paint over it with your roller so that the patterns are there. You just roll over it with paint. Right. And then before it dries, you can add another paper or you can add glass. And then you take your clean roller and once again you roll over it to push everything down a bit and to make your surface beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. You can also use this with a fairly thick brush to obtain some specific effects on your paper. So let's tackle a few different types of print making. Monoprinting is when a single impression of an image made from a reprintable block, such as this beautiful architecture print by Hilly van Eerten. Relief printing is when you carve into a printing block, which can be a lino sheet, hardboard, or a wooden block, which you then use to press onto paper and make a print. The lines or shapes you carve into the printing block will not have ink on them. This was used in a booklet for Margaret Lyell in 1930. Another form of relief printing is collagraphy. It is where you create your own printing surface by pasting different textures of more or less the same height or thickness on a thick cardboard paper. You then apply a thin layer of oil paint or printing ink with a brush and print. Etching is a type of print of drawings which consists of smearing or forcing the ink into the grooves of a metal plate. Take note that etching is extremely difficult and it's not for everyone. These grooves have been obtained using acid on a copper or zinc plate and by putting this plate on a press with a sheet of paper. This lovely etch is from Downfall, a series of A Life etched in 1884. You can see the fear in the man's face as he is drowning. This is by Rembrandt. Rembrandt often used etching in his artwork. As you can see, one can do so much by using prints. It's all a matter of how hard you are willing to work and how much you are willing to practice. would like to introduce Ms. Esther van Schoenberg and welcome her back to our studio today.
Thank you, Nina.
It's so lovely to see you. And she brought with a lovely student of hers, Ms. Jamila Shikongo, who will be opening this world of printmaking for us. Welcome, Jamila.
Thank you for having me. I'm Jamila Shikongo, and for my coursework folder, I decided to dive into the discipline that is printmaking. My inspirational artist for this specific work was Ephraim Solomon, who is an Ethiopian artist. And he presents his work through symbolism, which provides his personal and political narrative of his environment.
This is quite a famous print work of him.
Yes, it is.
Yes, I've seen that before.
Oh, lovely. He also portrays a fictional word with no limitations of unreliable recordings of expression, and I take inspiration from the fact that he portrays his work in an abstract manner and disproportional way, using colors, shapes, and lines, which is the way that I would like to express myself as well.
Beautiful.
Here, I recreated a piece of his using the technique cardboard printing, which I will later explain to you guys. And I did a bit of collage work with it, and I had some paint behind his head, and which kind of also just shows you how diverse printmaking can be, as you can incorporate other works as well.
Yes, that's just fantastic. I can't wait to see the rest of it.
This was my first page of my coursework folder, and here I explored faces and their design potential using my mind map. So this was basically just a collection of all my work throughout the year. So you have a lot of collage pieces as well, with cardboard, prints, my own drawings, some paintings, and yes.
So a mind map is basically like brainstorming. So you put all your ideas together.
Basically.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So page 2 is an extension of my mind map, and here I explore shapes, lines, textures, and colors, which were the elements that I paid close attention to. With my art, I wish to project and inspire authenticity, pure and raw means of expression. I'm widely inspired, but African art was one of my main intrigues the most. As you can see, I did a lot of explorative
This is lovely.
work.
What was the purpose of the border over here?
Well, these are Adinkra symbols, and I really love their simplicity, and I just thought it would be like cool to kind of frame my work a lot more.
And it's so beautiful to see from where it started, the way you developed it into this. One can already see the huge difference between the beginning and it's moving in a direction.
Yes.
One can see your development. It's beautiful.
Exactly. So, page 3 is where we go in a bit more depth as to what it is printmaking is. So this is my very first sketch of my cardboard print, which I later traced and transferred onto onto the cardboard, in which I started carving. This technique was spearheaded by the Namibian artist Papa Shikongeni, and cardboard printing was inspired by John Mafangeo, a Namibian artist as well, who initially made lino cuts.
Yes. Maybe you can explain to us, I saw you brought this lino cut, how it works.
Cardboard printing.
Cardboard.
Yes. So this is cardboard, and to basically just explain what it is that I did, this is my work, transferred it onto the cardboard. I took a carving knife, and then I carved out all of the space that is not going to be printed. Yes. So I like to think of printing as like a stamp. You're basically just creating this, stamp. Yes. So all of the areas that I cut away, as you can see, are not going to be touched by the ink. So when it is that you do print it, it's going to be an inverted version of it.
Oh, yes.
Basically.
Yes. Lovely. Yes, this is very, very interesting.
Thank you.
So this was basically the black and white, and this is what it looks like in color.
Yes.
Very interesting.
So this is now already a print.
basically.
Yes, that you've painted. Oh wow.
And I used oil paint for this one.
Mhm.
And this is a small picture of me basically rolling it on the
Mhm.
cardboard stencil, can I call it, perhaps?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
yeah. And
Um,
we even brought a roller along, the printing roller. There you can see the printing roller,
Uh-huh.
which you apply the ink with.
Yes.
Yeah, so the ink only goes onto the top parts that are not carved away.
Mhm. So
Basically.
you can't press too hard when you are working on this. You can't press too hard, otherwise the colors that should stay light will also get painted. Or is it
Yeah,
not that
sometimes that
difficult?
actually looks nice if you
Mm.
have that texture in the background.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Page 5 is a mixed media collage that I did, and it shows the versatility of cardboard printing. So as you can see, I have magazine bits, I used some oil pastels, I used koki, all of it, and I also brought different pieces from different
Mhm.
prints in
Mhm.
order to kind of bring it into this
Mm.
abstract
Yeah.
piece.
And I see there's a face,
Hmm.
and I see this looks like zebra stripes.
Mhm.
You could
Or-
call it
You call it that.
lines.
And what does that represent?
Well, these are huts.
Mhm.
I wish I could remember the inspiration from this, but this
Mhm.
is basically a face with some roots.
Yes.
So
Maybe it's the roots where the person comes from.
perhaps
Yeah.
because we have the
Yes.
homes and some pyramids, some
Very
sun.
nice.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So this is a lot of Africa put together into one print.
Exactly.
Mm.
Page 6 is another cardboard print for my piece, Head of the Village. It's one of my favorites, but this was basically just where I started. This was where I started.
Like how you planned the whole
How you
thing.
plan it,
Yes, because with this is a different technique, but cardboard printing as well,
Mhm.
and it's the subtractive method. And I started off with a sketch and an idea of what colors I'm going to use for my
Mhm.
multicolored cardboard print.
Mhm.
Did the same, transferred it onto this specific cardboard piece, took a carving knife, carved out all of the areas in which I'm going to, like, are going to be colored.
Mhm.
But with this specific technique, you need to start from the lightest to the darkest.
Oh yes.
Okay.
So started off with the yellow,
Yes.
and then you print it. And with this, it's like a very intricate, I'd like to say, technique,
Mhm.
because you need to make sure that you are layering it on the same
Exactly.
each
yes.
time that you go.
Yes.
Yes, that's we call it the registration.
Yeah.
You can see here a registration was a little bit off, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. That's why you see that
Mm.
yellow
Oh
line
yes,
there.
and not on the other side.
Yes.
Mhm.
But maybe that is the effect that you wanted.
Exactly.
Yes.
It doesn't have to be so perfectly
Yeah.
the one print on top. This is
Yes.
actually then a multiple prints on one
Mm.
paper,
Mm.
starting from the lightest color first.
Yes.
Mhm.
To the darkest.
Yes. This is my exploration work.
Can I turn it a bit?
Yes, you can.
See? Yes.
And it was a further exploration of lines, shapes, colors, textures to express my emotions.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and these pictures, they were all inspirational artists.
So it's a few different artists, not just one.
This was for the specific piece
Yes.
in order to get to my final, which I will
Yes.
show you.
Mhm. All right.
Nice.
So
Wow.
this was just my inspirational artist. His name is Steve Green. Again, I take
Okay.
inspiration from the vibrant colors, from the lines, and
Mhm.
abstract art. And abstract art is thought-provoking and evokes feelings of freedom and presence.
Mhm.
I admire the character behind not only the art but the artist, and I appreciate the way that he speaks volume, and I aspire to do the same with my work. And with that, I started exploring the potential of what it is that I could do with the use of shapes, lines, etc. So this is my developmental work. I started off, as always, with observational drawings. So this is an observational drawing of a classmate of mine. And I wanted to use her side profile specifically in order to kind of
Develop the idea. Yeah.
yes.
Very
And I
nice.
see here you use some newspaper.
Yes.
Was that just an experiment? Or?
Yes.
Okay.
Because with development work, it's very important to be able to explore different mediums and surfaces just to show that you were not limited to one
Yes.
specific
Yeah,
idea.
Yeah.
So I started with these, so oil pastel, pen.
Yeah. And also with you showing in your portfolio your planning, how you practiced, how you
Very
experimented, it is a definite indication that the work that you gave him is your work. It's not
Yes.
copied.
Yes,
It's totally
exactly.
your work.
Mhm.
Yes.
It's very, very important.
Yeah.
This is further exploration, and I started moving away from color because I wanted to see what it is exactly that I'm going to be focusing
Like
on,
simplifying a bit.
basically.
Yes.
Through experimentation, the idea of creating a distorted composition using lines going through the drawing came about, and it well interprets my emotions at the time.
Okay, so
Um,
tell me about your emotion in this one, because this one is a little bit different from that one.
Yes.
So do you remember your emotion that you had at that moment?
I'd like to say perhaps my identity at the time, so my reflection as well. I had short hair at the time, so I guess you could view this piece as me looking at myself from a different perspective, because
Yeah, because this is the side
profile.
profile and this is the front
Yeah.
profile, but it also appears to be a face from the front.
Exactly.
So this is actually brilliant to notice that.
Thank you.
You can do that, and I love this because this looks so African. Yes.
I then further developed my idea by creating a contrasting black and white composition, and I also experiment with collage and blotted ink. So I basically was just developing my idea further.
Alright.
On page 9, of course, further experimentation, further development with collage pieces. And I settled on this specific design, and I made cardboard prints with some ink and with oil paints. I then printed using the screen printing method, which I will explain as well. And I printed on newspaper, brown paper, and on a t-shirt for my final with fabric paint.
Yes. Yes, the T-shirt.
Yes.
So you experimented with quite a lot of material. It just shows you how printmaking is so versatile. You can just go ahead and play around with it as much as you like.
Yes. So I will get into the
You like the
t-shirts.
T-shirt.
Yes, eventually. But page 10 is my final page for my coursework. And this is where I started adapting my designs for t-shirt printing. So this is transparency paper
Okay.
in which I placed on this screen in order to expose it. Because basically silk screen printing is a process where you have a sketch on which you place onto a mesh screen that is coated in light-sensitive emulsion, and you expose it for around about 20 minutes. And after that, you will be able to see that there's a stencil type as well. And with it, you just use tools like squeegees, which is a squeegee is basically a board in which you drag the paint in order to print it onto this.
Yes, yes.
So this is done with fabric paint. Right?
Yes.
So one can wash it. If you wear it, you can wash it, won't the colours run?
It won't because no.
It's fabric paint.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
So was your final coursework was actually the shirt?
Yeah, it was the t-shirts,
Yeah,
all of
yeah,
them. I
all of
decided to put all of them in to show my experimentation.
Yes. Yeah, this little one here also. Which is now the
Yeah.
opposite. It
This is
the,
what do we call this printing again? Where you use more than one colour
yeah.
to print, rainbow printing.
Oh,
You
rainbow
remember?
printing, yes I do.
So when you pull the ink across the screen, you put in orange, blue, and orange again. So and then the colours mix by themselves. So you get like one print with 3 colours, just with one screen print, which is very nice.
Yes.
And
You know,
these ones,
yeah.
you coloured them by hand, no?
Yes, I
remember
did.
correctly.
Mhm.
Yeah. First do the black print and then just colour them in by hand.
Oh,
Mhm.
wow. You know, I realize more and more that the only limitation to art is yourself.
I also learned that through, I guess, experimenting and developing my idea and kind of just seeing the potential as to what my piece can be in the end.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, I agree.
totally. Jamila, I'm so excited. I saw you brought stuff for lino printing.
Yes,
and
I
even some
did.
paint. I hope I get to use the paint today. Can
Yes,
you
you can.
tell us a little bit about lino printing?
Okay, so lino printing is actually one of my favorite techniques, and it includes a lino, and
which is this plastic type of
rubber.
material,
I'd like
rubber.
to, yeah. And with this rubber, you, as I said, from the cardboard printing, you transfer your image here, and then you use the tools or
Yes.
a lino tool in order to carve out all the areas that you are
Yeah.
not going to.
That's actually not going to get the paint on.
Yes.
So, yes.
Mhm.
And does this take long? Is it difficult?
It's quite time consuming. However, once you get the hang of it, you will be able to.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you make maybe a mistake that shoots like me, I would of course go very carefully and then the thing goes to that direction. Will it have an effect? Will I have to start from scratch?
You won't have to start from scratch. I've made a few little mistakes. However, I guess with my art per se, I don't really mind imperfection, you
Yes.
know. So yes. And it's a bit difficult, honestly, with this little thing because, yeah. But one thing that you need to be careful is that you don't hurt your fingers because I've certainly had a few. Yeah.
Bruises and cuts. Yes, no, I'm
yes.
sure. And what is this for? Could you tell us?
Okay, so for lino printing, you need a glass.
The perspex.
Yes. As well as either oil paint or water-based paint.
Yes.
And we're going to be using water-based paint for this specific.
Yeah, I understand that oil paint takes longer to dry in our weather, so maybe the oil paint will be a better one to use if you want
You
to
might
take
want
long.
to shake it a
Ooh,
bit.
This thing is
Yeah,
a
you might
bit
wanna-
difficult. Maybe you can do that for us.
Yes, then you can squeeze it
And you just squeeze it and you make dots.
if you'd like, but but you need quite a bit, a
Oh,
lot
okay.
more.
A lot more.
That's enough.
So is that enough?
Yes.
All right.
So to start, we're going to need a roller. If you could please pass me that. Thank you. And then what we want to do, we just want to roll out our ink like this. You want to roll it out as thinly as possible
Oh, all right.
because you don't want it to be too sticky or too heavy.
Yes.
And this is the sound that you want.
Yes.
basically.
So as you explained before, you always start with your lightest color, you work towards your darkest color. So you will be repeating this every time with a darker color. If you want to have multiple colors.
If you'd like, but this is lino, and most lino prints are usually in black and white.
Oh, okay. That makes it a little bit easier.
Yes. Then we want to start by rolling onto the lino. I like to take my time with rolling it because I like to make sure that each and every part is covered to avoid any blotchy bits. It's also very important that you have your surface covered because this is quite messy. So I usually like to test to see whether I should add a lot more paint or if I should clean my, if you could please pass me that.
Yes.
Thank you.
That one away.
Okay. Excuse me. Oh. So here we just want to register on the paper.
Oh, I see why it's rubber, of course, because it can bend. It doesn't.
Yes, it's quite
fall
flexible.
over.
Yes.
Yeah. And the paint goes in all directions. Hopefully not.
Usually for this process, you might need another roller to kind of just press it out. But
oh, I see you started with another one in the back.
yes.
So you are reusing the things that you need, like the rubber, you will reuse it. If there's a little mistake on.
So here,
Shall I press down a bit?
yes, please. So we just gently peel to expose it. Like
Wow. Well, this has brought us to the end of today's lesson. Thanks so much, Jamila and Miss Esther, for coming in today to show us the art of printmaking.
Thank you for having me. Bye.